This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Wake up, little Susie, wake up. We've both been sound asleep. Wake up, little Susie, and weep.
And welcome back to the show where we are speaking about sleep. Easy for me to say. Maybe you haven't had a good night's sleep. We have the doctor here to give me the diagnosis. The SnoreDentist, Dr. Charnel Muir, and we referenced it in the past, but medical conditions that maybe are causing a problem because of sleep. Can you run through 2 or 3? I'll let you do it. Yeah,
because the 2 most common ones we see are type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure.
Right.
So, I'll hear from patients all the time that they eat well, they exercise, they have a good weight mass ratio. They don't have any of the reasons why they should perhaps be starting to develop type 2 diabetes, or their blood pressure is just creeping up a little bit. And it can't be explained by anything. And it could be an underlying sleep breathing disorder. It could be the snoring and or some sleep apnea that's crept in that nobody knows about.
So somebody that maybe has gone to their doctor and they're getting their checkups regularly and the doctor's saying, well, hey, maybe your blood sugar is a little bit higher or your blood pressure is a little bit higher, and they've tried exercise and diet and all that kind of stuff. This might be something to investigate?
It's definitely something that you should look at. There's a high correlation between the development of type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure and sleep-disordered breathing. So it's definitely worth looking at, and it's a non-invasive test. It's not like you have to have a surgery to look at it. It's not anything like that. It's just a monitor that you wear at home that's going to have a look at it. And if the home monitor isn't informative enough, then you go on and do the hospital one if that's what your physician thinks is important.
And it's not an invasive. It's kind of more like a lifestyle change, because you're not really doing anything other than putting a device in your mouth when you go to sleep.
That's right.
So it's kind of minimally invasive. It's the lifestyle change, and that's really it. So with typical sleep apnea, most times we hear about CPAP machines, which provides a certain amount of pressure to help you breathe.
Right.
But these are cumbersome. I spoke about the test device that you wear for one night, maybe being a little uncomfortable. But a CPAP machine, it's like this thing right on your face. It can't feel comfortable.
Well, and for a number of patients, it's not. Now, if you are severe or your symptoms are really dramatic affecting you, and you put a CPAP on, and within 2 to 3 days you're feeling fabulous, you're willing to put up with that for sure.
Sure.
But a lot of patients really struggle with it for claustrophobic reasons. They feel they can't move around. The mask leaks air into their eyes. It bothers their bed partner. Because it's continuous positive airway pressure. So it doesn't breathe for you. It doesn't provide oxygen. It just basically blows air down your airway so that it stays open enough for you to breathe. And interestingly enough, it was developed by an Australian doctor, Dr. Colin Sullivan. And prior to him developing the CPAP, the only treatment available was tracheotomy. That's what they did. So if it was severe enough and you had to breathe, they did a tracheotomy. And the one patient
so how far back was that?
1980.
Wow.
Yeah,
not that far?
Not that far.
Wow.
And he had a patient that refused the tracheotomy, but clearly was not breathing. So this was his chance. So he literally took the motor out of an Electrolux vacuum cleaner and hooked it up and made a silicone-type mask. And they figured out that if they blew enough air down an airway, the patient could still breathe. And so I
can't imagine the air thing being comfortable either.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle breathing against the air, especially exhaling, because the air pressure is going in. Mm-hmm. So some people will even relate it to feeling when they tried scuba diving, they felt like they weren't getting enough air, and people will feel that as well.
So what's the success rate with a CPAP machine typically after a year or 2 years? Do you know any of those numbers?
Statistically, on average, we find about 50 to 70% of patients struggle tolerating the CPAP.
Because it's every night. You never get a break from it.
And same thing with the oral appliance. Neither of these are cures. They're just treatments. And they're treatments that you must maintain for the rest of your life. You can affect the sleep apnea with obesity if you lose a lot of weight, lifestyle if you give up things like evening alcohol. You can help it, but neither one of those are cures. But it's every night, and we find that the drop-off rate at 1 year with a CPAP can be quite high.
So you must be getting referrals from people who have tried the CPAP machine with their doctor, and then where do I go? What can I do? I don't like this.
Right.
It's not working for me. They come to the SnoreDentist.
That's right. And a lot, like some of them will come on their own. Some of them will come because they hear about me. Some of them will have found out there's oral appliance therapy. Where can I find it in the province? Some of their doctors know about me. And that's one of my biggest things, is to try and get the word out to physicians that there is an answer. If they have patients that are CPAP resistant or CPAP intolerant, they should all be looked at. We should see them all to see if they're candidates for oral appliance, even if we can't treat them down to a 0 of sleep apnea. We can make them better on average for most patients.
And give us a description of the devices. You mentioned there's dozens of them. So what makes the difference between one device and another?
Well, the two most common devices that we use, one will be what's called a dorsal fin appliance. So basically the top part and the bottom part, when you close your jaws together, the two parts slide together like a jigsaw puzzle, and that keeps the jaw forward and prevents it from falling back. The other type is a hinged appliance. So that one will have a band between the top and bottom that's stiff, that will hold your jaw to forward in a certain position. So both of those you can open and close with. A third type of appliance that's used is more of a fixed one. So you bite together, it holds your jaw forward, but you can't open and close with it.
Which one do most people prefer?
Most people like to be able to open and close their mouth.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
You have to cough or something.
Yeah, or sneeze or yawn or talk or drink water. It's easier that way, yeah. And both the hinged appliance with the band and the jigsaw puzzle dorsal fin appliance, they'll have specific designs that we use for different patients. The dorsal fin one can actually be converted into some form of denture for patients. So if people have a complete upper denture, I can still treat them. And a lot of people think, well, I don't have all my teeth, so therefore I can't wear an appliance. And I've treated patients all the way down to only having maybe 8 to 10 bottom teeth, and the rest was dentures, and we got them treated really well. Yeah.
So let's get down to the price, because I'm sure some people are like, this all sounds great, but, you know, going to visit the dentist isn't an inexpensive thing to do. Where does the coverage begin with plans? And so what do you say to people about that?
So one of the things that people need to know about is it doesn't matter what treatment you look at, being a CPAP or an oral appliance, neither of them are covered under MSP.
Okay.
So neither are covered with your care card and your medical services plan. We will pay certain times, like if you go to the hospital and have a sleep study, the medical plan will pay for the diagnosis. When we do the home sleep monitors, we don't charge our patients. They take it home at no charge. But the therapy for the condition isn't covered under MSP. It is, however, covered under some of the extended health benefit plans. So we always provide paperwork to our patients to maximize any benefit they would have. And some of the plans are fabulous and some of them are very challenging. And usually the patient will know when they come in, oh, my plan is terrible.
Well,
and
you're
you're
looking at my plan.
Yeah.
I pay.
And for my patients that don't have extended health benefit plans, often we'll discuss it with them as to, you should talk about it with your accountant. Do you have a health care? Do you have a company that should be paying this in corporate funds? Should you do it at the end of a calendar year so you can put it on your income taxes with your kids' braces? Because if you have braces expenses, dental expenses, eyeglass expenses, this as an expense, you get to that point where it becomes a taxable, usable number, and you can put it on your income tax, one spouse or the other. So there's lots of planning that can go into that. I do not have an extended healthcare benefit plan. But do know as well, the oral appliance is a medical device. It's not under your dental coverage.
Yes.
So it requires a whole different paradigm to what your dental office would do as for your fillings and crowns or braces. So it's a medical device. It won't affect your limits as far as going to your dentist, getting your cleanings done, getting your fillings, all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't go anywhere near that. It's under the medical benefits, and it'll be a separate clause in your plan for the treatment of sleep apnea.
Right. Just the way your eyeglasses are separate, right?
That's right. Because a lot of people worry, well, if I use up my my $2,000 on this, I won't be able to get my crown, and they're completely unrelated. So the oral appliances range anywhere from the custom ones that we do in our office, anywhere from $500 to $3,000. It depends on the design we pick, the design the patient needs, the durability we want, the condition we're treating.
And how long typically would a device last?
Some of them will last anywhere from 1 to 3 years, some 3 to 5, and some more than 5 years.
And I guess that also depends on the price.
That's right. So there are very durable appliances that can last 5 to 10 years. And the other thing we do ask is we ask you to always take it to any dental appointments that you have that change your teeth. We ask your dentist to fit the dental work into the appliance because that can create a longer living appliance, right? We don't want to have to remake it because that will cost.
And I guess it all comes down to the end of the day, what is a good night's sleep worth?
Yes.
And what is...
And airway's king.
Yeah.
You know, breathing trumps everything. If you're not breathing at night, that's a lovely crown, but it won't much matter.
No, absolutely. Well, that's a good way to end, I think. The SnoreDentist has been our guest, Dr. Charnel Muir, based in North Vancouver, the SnoreDentist.ca, or is it SnoreDentist?
No, SnoreDentist.ca.
SnoreDentist.ca.
Yeah.
And easy way to find you. And if you need to get an appointment, that's a great place to start. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's always fascinating.
Thanks, Zach.
And we'll speak to you again next time. I am Zach Spencer. You've been listening to Boomer Life on CL 650.